All right, so we're live. We are live. Welcome, everyone. My name is Reverend Evelyn, and I am the publisher of the Sacred Creative Soul Speaks Substack. And I am honored to have a special guest for Wisdom Wednesday tonight. This is the beautiful Tisha Lachey, and she is the publisher of the Sister Care Alliance Substack. And forgive me, I just blanked on the name of the second one.
Lachey's Garden.
Shay's Garden, yes. So tonight we're going to talk about Black women's health and whatever else Tisha is working on these days that she wants to share with us. So I'm going to give it just a couple minutes for people to pop in. Good evening, Lisa. Thank you for joining. You're our first guest tonight.
Uh-huh.
Do you know Lisa?
I don't.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying hi.
Oh, okay. All right. Hello, Iris. Hello, Dina. Thank you for joining. I'll move so my knee keeps hitting the table. Okay. All right. Thank you all for being here. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm just going to do a little bit of breath work and get us grounded before we dive in. So I have my feet on the floor and I'm going to take a breath. Ugh. And another breath. So what I know right now is that there is one power, and that power is right here with us. It is expressing itself through and as each one of us. And so I invite this presence to be with us this evening and to inspire this conversation. And I am grateful for my guest. I'm grateful for everyone who pops into this live and participates. And I'm just grateful for this opportunity for expanding consciousness. And so I release this word into the law. I allow it to be so, and so it is.
Yeah.
All right. So I see now we have Iris and Sosa. Ryan and Sosa. I already greeted Iris. And we're going to go ahead and get started. So Tisha, would you like to introduce yourself and sort of share about what the Sister Care Alliance is all about and what inspired you to start it?
Okay. My name is Tisha Lachey. I've been writing on public platforms since 2018. I've been a contributor to Newsbreak, Newsweek, Exo Nicole. I was on Medium for a bit, local media for a bit, and Substack is kind of like my last home. I started Substack with one publication, which was Lachey's Garden, but at the time it was 3 minutes of your time, and so I kind of rebranded that. And then maybe 2024, I've had this idea that just a random idea that popped up in my head, and I ran it by my mom, and she looked at me and she said, "Go for it." And which is Sister Care Alliance. This is something that I've kind of been passionate about way before me even thinking about this advocacy. Just by, everyday life, seeing important women in my life go through a lot of trials and tribulations when it comes to their health and wellness. And also myself, as someone who lives with chronic pain. And then I was diagnosed with scoliosis at 10, and then had surgery at 12. So that's kind of been a battle within myself. But I really didn't want to, after all the pain I was in, I always wanted to focus on other women, because I feel like if I'm not the only one that can be going through this.
Okay.
And I know that because I also have 10 years of revenue cycle experience, which is medical billing. So I've come across a lot of mothers and Black women in mental health and things like that. to kind of hear their stories. Um, then I had a small project that I was just interviewing different women just to talk about their experiences. It didn't have to be maternal health. It could just be your everyday visit to the office. And I just kind of wanted to pick their brains on what rubbed them the wrong way during that visit. Um, and so that project was pretty much a success. I only interviewed 7 to 8 women, but those stories kind of come up again every once in a while because they became kind of popular.
Mhm.
Um, so Sister Caroline just came because I didn't have nothing else to do.
Mm.
Um, I'm one of the Black women that's unemployed, so um, just trying to find identity. But I know I'm more than my career.
Absolutely.
Um, Before becoming a medical biller, I wanted to be a pediatric nurse, so I always had the care for people and
Mhm.
community.
Mhm.
But it's always been the focus of our community first. Um, Based on statistics and numbers, it's not always in our favor. Um, a lack of resources in education um, play a big part, and I feel like my knowledge can kind of fill that gap in just bringing awareness. I think the more you know about the system, the more empowered you will be to speak up about it. The more you know what's going on with your personal health, the more you have the ability to speak out about it. And I just kind of wanted to be a rebel, if you will, that
Mhm.
just because you wear a white coat, that doesn't exclude you from. There's nothing powerful about that. It only tells the public that you're a doctor. But when you're in that office with your physician, you have every right to ask about your health because at the end of the day, you're the only one that's supposed to care about it. I mean, the doctor can, quickly write you a prescription, says, here, take this. But if you can't grab your own health by the horns and
Mm.
relying on other people to care for you in a system that doesn't care for us anyway, then that's where we're going to have issues. So, um, I use my space as an educational space. And then it's kind of like a child. You want to breathe life into kids first.
Mhm.
Then you want to show them the way. And then you kind of want to nudge them out into the world. So I always introduce with knowledge first because there's a lot of information and a lot of people have a hard time sifting through it. But that's my bread and butter because I like to research. Um, Most of the things that I find, it's always coming from a place as a patient first mindset because at the end of the day, I'm still a patient and I still have my grievances with the medical system. So my information is always surrounding what will other patients find useful in the information.
Okay. All right. I love that. Can you? So when I was writing this up, and I wrote Black women's health, and I thought, well, okay, so Substack isn't only Black women, but can you speak to some of the special um circumstances, the disparities, the racial disparities in I can never say this word, maternal mortality rates for Black women in the United States are absolutely embarrassing. And so can you speak to, like, what are some of the what are some of the issues with those disparities and the maternal mortality rate for especially for Black women in this country?
Yeah. Well, for starters, a lot of people don't know that Black women are 3 times more likely to die during childbirth.
Mhm.
Um, and the number gets slightly higher if they have the child and they have to come back to the hospital because of complications. Um, it's it's always been systematic. Um, and I think that's kind of why I'm clawing my way to find the answers, because I don't have children, but that doesn't take away the questions that we all should be asking. Why, when it comes to our health, it's always it, it's always a 50-50 chance we either live or die.
Right.
Um, and I think I'm I talk to a lot of women, and I feel like I can't be the only one with the mistreatment. First, they don't believe that we're in pain.
Right.
So the fact that we are in pain and we have to constantly convince a doctor that we're in pain is a battle within itself, because they think we want drugs to sell them, and they think we're going to abuse it, and whatever implicit biases they already have towards us, such as we have tough skin, no, literally, like we have tough skin and we can endure pain. Um, it's false, and it kind of blurs a line of science,
Yep.
and a lot of it is racial, and it's heartbreaking because we don't. It's hard. You have to go to that very same system that disregards us, because we're all gonna get sick.
Yep.
We're all gonna might have to go to the ER or the urgent care, um, pharmacy. We're all gonna experience those situations. So it's like you can't avoid it. But I think the belief of, not being heard, um, feeling belittled. Um, I've had instances where medical assistants didn't want to touch me. Um, and those things only a Black woman would understand,
Yep.
because we've been in stores where we're followed, or we walk into a room and everyone looks at us like we're not supposed to be there. We have been the only Black people in the room. So those are things that are just embedded in us that we have to watch out for.
Right.
And I think the education on regards to that aspect of it isn't taught. And I think that's what keeps the system broken, because these old ideologies um, will constantly create positions that are constantly doing a disservice to us.
Yeah. Can you speak to so a lot of people have, I think, a lot of people who are not Black women,
Hmm.
um, would take issue with some of those things that you said. But like my favorite example is, what's that child's name? Venus Williams,
Hmm.
when she went in, now this is a billionaire.
Hmm.
And she goes into the hospital and she has the same poor treatment as a woman on public assistance, right?
Hmm.
So it's not even a class issue, and it's not even an education attainment issue. Um, because I read a story about a woman she was working on her doctoral degree in maternal health, in maternal mental health.
Hmm.
And she didn't die giving birth, but she died like 2 days later. As you said, she had to go back because her blood pressure was really high, but they sent her home anyway. They was like, "Oh, calm down. Just calm down."
Hmm.
And so her mother actually made her go back to the hospital the next day. She said, "You can't, you have got to go back." And she died. She went back to the hospital and died because they were like, "You just gave birth. Calm down."
Hmm.
And she was stroking out. So,
Yeah.
um, and then I just saw, I don't really follow, I mean, I'm not having any more babies, so I don't really follow this issue very closely, but I did see on Substack last week or the week before, a young Black woman who was a maternal health advocate died in childbirth, right? I mean, her whole job was protecting Black women in childbirth, and she died in childbirth. So, I mean, I don't know what else needs to happen for people to realize that this is a huge issue. Um, it's a huge issue.
Yeah. before my advocacy work, I'm a writer. So I tell narrative stories based on my life. And the only experience that I can speak about is a Black experience.
Yeah.
So that's always first. Um, I think if you are someone who isn't Black, and if you have empathy, then what I'm doing should never be a threat.
Exactly.
Because if we're all human and should be treated fairly, having Black in front of it shouldn't mean anything, because it's about saving lives.
Mm-hmm.
So, if Black or the name sister care is a threat, then this probably shouldn't be a space you should be in right now, because you need to figure out your own implicit biases, and then once you do that, then we can talk. The space is welcoming, but the priority is always going to be the benefit of my people.
Mm-hmm.
So you can ask questions, which I encourage it. Not enough questions are being asked. Just everyone just seems to have the answers all the time. But know that the priority will always be Black women and Black children, and
So
that's coming from a black woman.
absolutely, absolutely. So let's say somebody offered you a $3 million grant, right? Like what do you feel like is a sort of a low hanging fruit issue that you could take on, or that your organization could take on, that would help to have some kind of an impact? I keep saying maternal mortality, but because I feel like that's the tip of the Black women's health issue is maternal mortality. Because if Black mothers keep dying giving birth, right,
Mhm.
that's like a big red flag.
Yeah.
But what is an issue? What is something that you feel like could be tackled and changed that would make an impact?
Um. Well, for starters, Sister Caroline's is a for-profit. Um, and
Excellent.
I kind of did it that way because I'm not too keen of begging folks for money.
Yep.
Um, so if I gotta take a little longer to do the work, then I will.
Hmm.
Um, but I think the main issue is admitting that racism exists.
Yeah.
It's impossible to be educated about this problem when in the same breath you say, I don't see color.
Right.
That's
That
actually,
invalidates our existence.
yeah, that's a positive and a negative. You need to acknowledge that racism still exists.
Yeah.
And then once you acknowledge that, then you can be open-minded enough to ask why, and then figure that out.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, for some reason, can't utter those words out of their mouth. So I don't think that's something that the higher ups of a grant can solve. I
Right.
think we all have to take accountability and to look at how we view the world first. Um, but that's number one. Number two, I feel like there is there's reasons why we are not looked at as human. So for you have to acknowledge that racism does exist for
Yep.
sure, but also acknowledge that we are human. Because based off of the history, we were not treated as such. So again, all that kind of weaves into it being a systematic issue. Um, there is not enough. I read a report, only 1% of Black students wanting to become physicians were denied applications. That's a systematic issue,
Yeah.
because it's not like they can't do the work. Why aren't you accepting these children,
Yeah.
these kids?
Yeah.
Um, I think cardiologists are like at a 2%. There isn't enough black faces in cardiology, which is vital because most black people are walking around with high blood pressure.
Yeah.
So it's like there's little healthcare is so broad and there's so many specialties and
Mhm.
um within it that it's kind of hard to give one answer
Right.
to the issue.
Right. So are you familiar with the term weathering?
No.
Okay, so there it was actually a white woman came up with this term. She was, I believe, a social worker. Um, and I think it was in the 90s or the early 2000s. She was noticing that very keen disparity in Black women's health outcomes. And so she did this big research project and did a study to determine that weathering is the sum total of all of the, I say microaggressions, but it's not, there's no such thing as a microaggression. It's an aggression, right? But
Mhm.
all of the weight that Black people carry of like housing issues, income inequality, health, unequal access to healthcare, all of those issues compound and sort of weigh on us sort of psychically.
Mhm.
And that's called weathering. So she came up with that she coined that phrase in that. So weathering is the thing that is the underlying issue in not just maternal mortality, but racially based health disparities.
Mhm.
Dina Rogers in the chat says, our existence is the issue that people don't want to acknowledge. Our humanity is denied automatically. Absolutely. And Netta says, what can we as Black people, Black women do?
Start local. Um, I think, and then not even because even that is too broad. Start with yourself. Start with the women around you. Um, I'm someone that can't really sit on the sideline for too long because the reason why I created Sister Caroline's is because I didn't appreciate the mistreatment of my own mother and her dealings with pain and being ignored and constantly trying to regurgitate why she's in ER today. Um, Carelessly not reading charts and you know things like that kind of jump started why I wanted to start it anyway. My mother is still alive, thank God. So I kind of wanted to do that to honor her.
Beautiful.
And not only that, my grandmother, who is no longer with us, she had uh arthritis in the back, and she had to beg and plead for help for something. And now here I am with chronic pain.
Mhm.
So then I had to speak up about my own health. So
Yeah.
I think um it kind of starts with yourself. I think we know who we are better than any other person, and we know how would like to be treated. And I think, like I said to someone the other day, if you can go order from Popeyes and get mad because the sauce is not in your bag, you can have that same energy to go to the physician and ask for the same care. It's the same energy, and it's unfortunate that we have to, as my mom would say, cut up in order to be taken seriously. Um, there's plenty of times I had to tell my own physician that I I took off of work at all the places I wanted to be. Why would you think I want to come here? It's not a game for me. There's something is wrong, and I'm coming to you so we can try to fix it. And I don't need the physician at the time to um tell me that I'm just going to sell drugs. and I have no record of selling a drug.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so you know that already pisses me off. Um, so my thing is I do little things. Like many people don't know that when you go to the doctor, they do your vitals. And going into the doctor's office is an anxiety field. So I suggested to women have your blood pressure checked before and after your visit, because the number before the visit isn't going to be as accurate because it's anxiety field. Like you're thinking about the wait time alone has you irritated. And then what's wrong with me? What are they going to say? What am I going to be diagnosed with? So I don't know why physicians don't suggest that, but something simple as your blood pressure before and after a visit is contributing to your overall health.
Yeah.
Um,
For me, it's getting on the scale. I feel like that anticipation of getting on the scale it's just like, and so by the time I sit down and get my blood pressure taken, I mean, the last time I went to the doctor, she took my blood pressure and she looked at me and she was just like, I'm going to have to take that again in a little while because like I shouldn't be conscious the number that
mhm,
was on that, right? I
yeah.
should have been like passed out with a stroke. Um, but I mean, like, so practically speaking, so I saw when I was in my early 40s, I had a terrible problem with very, very, very heavy periods. This is a lot of information.
Mm,
Like, it was bad.
mhm,
And, so I went to the doctor. I did 2 rounds. And my 2nd round, I was 43,
mhm,
and, I went in to the doctor, and, I asked her when she was done and had asked me if I had any questions, I said, "Can you test when you do my CBC, can you please include thyroid, tests?" Because I had done a little bit of research,
mhm,
and I know that the thyroid is connected to the menstrual,
mhm,
system. And, because, because of my symptoms and all that. So once you're past 40 and you're no longer childbearing, the medical
mhm,
system all of a sudden is like, "We have no use for you anymore. Why are you even here?"
mhm,
So she was on her way from having stood in front of me to the across the room to the door. She stopped and she turned on her heel and looked at me and she said, "Well, I think it might be better if you just lost some weight."
mm,
And then turned around and left the room. Like, so then I have a friend who actually had thyroid cancer. And
mhm,
when she first started having symptoms, she went to her doctor, who was a Black woman, by the way,
mhm,
and told her of her symptoms. And her doctor said, "Oh, well, let's check your thyroid."
mhm,
Now, why did my doctor feel offended when I asked her to do a test that she wasn't going to order, when even I, who has had this much medical training,
mhm,
know that there's a connection if you have thyroid trouble to your menstrual. So, I mean, in that instance, I was mortified with embarrassment
mhm,
because she told me I was fat, and that was probably my problem,
mhm,
right? I may have been 20 pounds overweight, but she was about 92 pounds and about 5'2", a little teeny. She looked like a 12-year-old girl.
mhm,
So I probably looked like I was 450 pounds to her. Whatever. You don't. First of all, you don't speak to a patient that way, and second of all, I was so mortified that I just pulled the gown, that paper gown, closer, and just was like, "But if I could go back to that woman, that 43-year-old woman who's sitting there," and also she said, "Well, menopause will take care of it." When I was talking about my menstrual problems, and I didn't. As it turns out, I didn't enter menopause for 10 more years. So I had 10 more years of hellacious periods. So yeah. So what if I could go back and sit back in
mhm,
that chair and say something to that woman who was getting ready to walk out the door, the doctor? Like, without being rude, without telling her how I really felt, right? That would be, for me, I feel like that would have been the point where I was advocating for myself.
mhm,
But I was so embarrassed that I didn't even say anything to her.
mhm. Um, First, I want to say I'm sorry that you had that experience.
Thank you.
As someone who has fibroids, I get it. um, Number two, I think physicians need to remember when you put on that white coat, you are a servant for the community.
Yes.
Your job is to educate us on our well-being the best of your ability. That's number two. Number three, request for them to document everything. If you told me to my face that I'm overweight, I need you to write that in my medical record.
Told the
Just
patient to lose weight.
right. Because say if you did want to go to the board, you can't prove your case because it's not written.
Right.
We have to think about keeping a paper trail.
Yeah.
Now, the physician may refuse to not put that in the report because they know how damaging that is to their own reputation.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't care. I'm going to call your bluff. Whatever you said to me, you should be documented. And if you feel like you can't document what you just said, then you know deep down that what you said was disrespectful.
Mm-hmm.
And if they refuse to document, they have a boss.
Yeah. Okay.
And you find their boss. And and if they don't help, then I want to talk to the board because, you know, they have a Hippocratic oath
Yes.
of do no harm, but that also comes verbally as well.
Mm-hmm.
You can't talk to me like now, if I'm with my friends and they say, girl, you put on a couple pounds, that's different because we're friends. Most of the time, these comments are coming from physicians on our first encounter. So I don't know you anyway for you to even say that out loud. So I need you to document that.
And it's not as if even now, I mean, even then I knew it wasn't as if I lost 50 pounds in the next 2 weeks. That wasn't going to clear up the issue that I came in with.
Yeah. Yeah. It's for some reason, it's a lot of band-aids over it. The the root cause analysis doesn't exist with us.
Yeah.
They say, well, I'm sure plenty of times they say, take a Tylenol.
Yeah.
But a Tylenol is not going to help the shooting pain down my spine and my legs that's making me numb.
Right.
And to even that language is dismissive. So I always push back. I said, so the plan leaving this building is what? What is my healthcare plan from this appointment? What are you and I going to do to think of
Exactly.
ways to improve this situation? Because if I leave an office and I'm just as confused going in as coming out, that within itself is an issue. A lot of patients don't use their patient portal. That's another way to document things. Don't be afraid to message your patient. Don't be afraid to ask questions because when it comes to your health, no question should ever be a stupid question
Mm-mm.
because this is your health. They only know you because you came in for an appointment, but you have to live with you when you leave that office.
Absolutely.
So I say be sassy. I say flip tables because this is your well-being. And you have to set the tone of you can't talk to me any kind of way
Right.
because unfortunately my sickness keeps you paid.
Yep.
And so there's like this power trip that I feel like most physicians have that they get really dismissive and a lot of women that I've interviewed, one of their main things is it was weight. And even that BMI is so outdated.
BMI is
That is so outdated.
it's based on white males.
Yes, it's so
And
outdated.
even for white males, it's outdated because people are getting bigger. Human
Mhm.
beings, their stature is getting bigger. So that BMI index is it shouldn't even apply to Black women, but
Right.
I mean, it's not even for white women. The
Mhm.
BMI was developed for white men.
Yeah. It's everything is just so outdated. And even like the pain level chart, that is that was
With
used
the little smiley faces.
yeah, that is used to push the pharmaceutical companies
Yeah.
just to sell their drugs.
Mhm.
So I never tell women to give their pain a number because that number is going to indicate you really not in pain to them, you know, and by that time you've become immune to your own pain that it's not really painful to you anymore. So I always say if your pain feels like an asteroid hit your thigh and is running up your leg, that's what you need to say.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give my pain a number
Yeah.
because
So
I'm not doing this game.
yeah. Netafe says we cut up for our vehicles, hair, and luxury goods, but not for our health. Absolutely.
That's true.
I love what you said to get sassy.
You got
And
to.
yeah, so if I could go back, I would have said to her, I would have come right back at her and said, "So if I lost 50 pounds tomorrow, is that going to clear up my issue? If
Mm,
not, then I want you to tell me what I can do so that I'm not bleeding for 9, 10, 11 days out of the month."
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
debilitatingly having to get up from my desk every 5 minutes,
Mhm. That's
without
the
going into
issue.
gory detail. It was horrifying.
Yeah.
And, for her, it was just kinda like, "Well, you'll be in menopause soon, and that problem will be gone." But it didn't account for, like, the pain, the absolute I mean, cramps are cramps, but this was like and it was
Yeah.
not fibroids because I had an
Mhm.
internal ultrasound, and it was not fibroids. So for women, so we are advocating that not advocating, but advising women to be their own advocate, to, as Netafe says, cut up. You say, be sassy
Yeah.
and advocate for ourselves and don't allow rude, um, thoughtless doctors to dismiss us when we go in with pain because we
Mhm.
know historically they just discount our pain.
Mhm.
Um, and when they don't seem to have an answer for whatever the issue is, they don't also seem to be at all curious about trying to figure out what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the true power is l loving ourself enough,
Yes.
and that word "enough" should be the extra gas to help you get the answers you're looking for. And then once you feel confident in your enough, then you can be in the rooms with the other women you love and be enough for them when they can't feel like when they're so much in pain that they can't feel like they can speak up for themselves.
Right.
You know, the best thing I could have ever done was to be in the room while my sister was giving birth because she's not on the drugs and I see who's coming in, who's going out. When you're at that machine, what are you looking for? What are you looking at? I'm asking the questions.
Mhm.
I'm asking my sister, how are you doing in front of the nurse? And then, come to find out she had a allergic reaction to something and she was itching. I said, well, no, fix this. She's uncomfortable. So I wasn't the nurse, but I know that the person that I love is on this bed
Mm.
and the person that I will love is coming out of her room.
Yep.
And so we all gonna leave out of here walking.
Yep.
And that's why I love the movie John Q, because I am the John Q of everybody. And it's
Yep.
not just my family, it's
Mhm.
just anybody.
Yep.
It's just it's hard to not be human and empathetic. If you don't see color, that's just a perfect time to prove it.
Yep.
You
It's
know what I
ridiculous.
mean?
It's
It's
ridiculous that people still say that.
yeah, it's
It's
even
dismissive and
yeah, even with that it's dismissive.
yeah. 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 So, I mean, so another thing is get an advocate, get someone to go with you. If you don't feel like, because I know that the woman that I was back then, even if I had known to that, well, what you can do is just confront her and say whatever, I wouldn't have,
Yeah.
because I just wouldn't have. But if I had someone with me who said, excuse me, doctor, hang on one second before you go striding out of the room. Can you tell us how her losing weight is going to help diminish those symptoms that she came in for, that she took off of work and waited 2 hours to be seen, right? Even though she had an appointment.
Sometimes months.
Yeah. Yeah.
People have to wait months for an appointment. And to kind of touch on your point, um, this might be a Black woman issue, but when it comes to our health, we can't be secretive about what's really going on.
Yeah.
Okay? We know some people that's going to tell our business. Don't tell those people. You need to tell someone that you trust,
Yes.
that you love enough, and that you feel that will go to bat for you. That's who you tell.
Yeah.
So, first things first, you got to let other people know what's going on with you,
Mhm.
because you could drop dead and we don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And then lo and behold, we could get your medical records and you've had a slew of things that we could have helped you with.
Right.
So, be brave enough to kind of tell someone who you can trust what is going on.
Yeah.
And then have them in the room if you trust them enough to be
Yeah.
in.
Exactly.
And then also, um, if the person that's in the room with you have questions, allow them to ask. Because as a patient, your whole psyche is different, especially if you heard bad news.
Hmm.
But if you have someone, and my dad is like the true definition of this, he's gonna make you miss your lunch because he sees someone that he loves sitting in this bed sick. He wants to know what he could do to take better care of us. So I think that's how advocates should be.
Hmm.
If you love someone, again, with the word enough, you are going to get answers, not just for the person, the patient, but for yourself,
Yeah.
especially if diagnosis or diseases are hereditary. I mean, family histories of it. I got to know what's going on with Granny so I can be more proactive in my own health.
Yeah.
And then if Granny's not telling me what's going on, and then I'm hit with breast cancer, things like that could have been avoided if I was more proactive and got the information.
Yeah.
So understanding family history is another thing we need to talk about more as well.
Absolutely. So what do you see as the big picture, the big goal for Sister Care Alliance? Like, when you get to, what is the point that you'd like to get to that you will feel successful, that you'll feel like you've moved the needle somehow?
That's a good question. I think when I start to get invited into the rooms that I know I'm deserving to be in, um, to
Such
then,
as,
well, if there is a panel on regards to advocates, I would like Sister Caroline's to be called,
oh, okay.
you know, as a source of extra knowledge. Um, as much as I would like to be selfish, um, as far as financially, that's not in my spirit. I feel like the more knowledge you have of the system,
Hmm.
the more you can be empowered to do more for
Yep.
self and other people. I think that's just my main goal. I think if I could touch 5 women to ask 2 to 3 additional questions at a doctor's appointment, then I've done my job. because then they get those questions get them a better understanding of their overall health. If I could have women not wait so long to get their annual checkups, which is the pap smears and the cervical tests and and the mammograms, then I feel like I've done my job. Um, I'm not really for the grandstanding of it all. I just want to breathe life into women to let them know that first they are loved and appreciated. And you have it within you already to speak for self.
Mm.
You have to, because if we don't, no one will. And it's
Exactly.
always been that way for us. So history shows we already have the power to do so. And that is women taking on things that I can't even imagine. And that will is within us already. So I think if anything, Sister Care Alliance is trying to remind you that you are great where you are, and riding with us can show you your potential. And that's health, mental health, overall womanhood, um, just being.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of Black women are suffering in silence
Yeah.
about a lot of things. And if anything, I would encourage those women to speak up and speak out. Not now, but right now. Because, as a writer, I always tell my mom, first of all, I'm gonna tell my story as long as it's legal. And I refuse to leave this earth and not have the power or the will to tell my own story the way I want to tell it. I don't want anybody to tell my story for me. So as long as I have a voice, as long as I can put a few words together, then I'm gonna speak not only for me, but for my sisters, for my nieces, for my mama, for my grandmother. I'm gonna speak for everybody, because I feel like that at the end of the day, that's just my calling to do so.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do nothing else. So, I've always kind of pictured it as, since I didn't have that person, I'm trying to be the person I would like to have in my,
Exactly. I feel that.
if
I
that
feel
makes.
that. So do you do public speaking on this issue?
No, and as an introvert, I'm finding it really.
I feel a TED Talk in you. Do you know what I mean? Because
That's what my mom
you
says.
you have listen, you have such an important issue to because just the way I thought when I was typing out the title for the little square for this live, and I
Mhm.
typed Black women's wellness, and I was like, oh well, no, not oh well. Black women's wellness is an urgent issue, and I think that when people who are not Black women hear Black women's health, I think, oh well, it's all health. No, it's not. It's a
Mm-mm.
separate issue, and it's an important issue, and, I think that you are in a unique position, to really tell that story, and, it's a story that needs to be told.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, I'm not at all trying to put any pressure on you. I'm just saying
Mm-mm.
I've never met you before, but sitting here having this conversation, I feel like you have a TED Talk in you. I've never done a TED Talk, but
Yeah.
I'm just like, what you have to say is so essential and important in this culture, in this very moment, that, that might be something that you consider. And I want to ask you also, we have 14 people here in the chat. What is something that we can all do to help further the message of Sister Care Alliance?
I always say Number one, the Sister Caroline's is a for profit. So uh, if you don't have the funds to do it, pay a subscription,
Mm-hmm.
then a one-time donation will be just fine.
Okay.
Sharing the work. Every newsletter on Sister Caroline's is all me. So I'm doing all the research. I'm doing all the writing. Hopefully I would like to hire a small team of people. Um, Hopefully more guest writers. Um, but that's one way. Um, Support, if you restack, not just restack, other social media platforms, word of mouth is great.
Yep.
Um, but I'm going to continue to give the information.
Yep.
To the best of my ability. I think if you are someone who is a mother who has witnessed, have your own experiences with healthcare, uh, this is a cause you might want to consider to rally behind, because although I'm the founder, I'm by no means the expert, because I always come into a situation as a student.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm willing to read through documents and studies on certain things, because I'm just learning like everyone else. So hopefully, um, having other medical professionals in different specialties to come on Substack Live and answer Q&As
Mm-hmm.
and give a really like a more intimate setting for women, um, would would help a lot.
Yep.
Because again, I'm kind of doing this by myself, and it's taking a little longer, but I'm
Have
not
you
lie.
have you considered submitting something to Essence magazine? I'm trying to think of big major publications, and I guess I don't get out enough. I don't know what else there would be as on par with that.
Um, Essence, Ebony, Jet, all of them, they have changed over the years.
Okay.
Um, I've
So
I've considered it.
is that too mainstream?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. Because it sounds like
because
your
be-
message is a little bit like, Look, this is where mainstream has gotten us.'"
yes. Um, I always emphasize that I'm a storyteller first,
Mhm.
and nobody nobody can tell my story better than I can.
Mhm.
And I think big magazines like that, them attempting to edit me down or water me down is not the game I
Okay.
want.
I see that. Okay.
Um, and as a writer who has been a contributor to different online magazines, I've gotten the confidence enough to write on my own.
Yep.
Um, for a while. Uh, so right now. I'm not really looking for big online publications yet.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, being invited is cool. Cause like I mentioned before, I'm big enough for you to invite me into the room. I can join.
Yep. Yep. You definitely have a message. You definitely have, something to say. So as we wrap up, is there anything that, you wished I had asked you, or is there anyone in the comments that has a question for Tisha before we, wrap this up?
Allies such as Black sorority. I have my thing with sororities.
That was a deep Negro spiritual sigh.
um, my mantra these past few years is throw it at the wall and see what sticks.
Mhm.
So if you feel like you can reach out to Black sororities to push the message, go for it. I'm, you know, I'm not gonna limit how you push the information. Then I think that's the whole point of what I'm trying to do. I'm not a micromanager type of person. Whatever is in your spirit to feel like you can push the message forward, then go for it.
Yeah.
Because even with that, that's the first step to advocacy. Because you're not feeling like you're pigeonholed to fight it by yourself,
Mhm.
you know? So if you do have sorority sisters, not even just to advocate, but to have events where you could just talk about your grievances, that's a step in the right direction.
Right.
Because a lot of us are even afraid to tell our stories. So we have to give that momentum first.
Yeah.
But if you feel like a sorority is if you know somebody, I'm always open to an invite. Always. I'm never not gonna turn away from other black organizations. Never. I I always say, I will sit down and I will break bread with people.
Yep. That's good.
So my ego is not that big.
Okay. All right. So any
um
last
y-
messages, last words?
well, yeah, from now until April, Sister Caroline's is what, 20 to 25% off. Um because would like to make more intimate events for paid subscribers.
Okay.
Um in the month of March, we're having a free event on Substack Live to talk about black women's safety in healthcare spaces.
Mhm.
What does safety look like? How can we be safe? Um, it's a it's a lot of. I just want to hear women's grievances about it because I know, but I feel like I want to get more women talking because
Love that.
because we know what we want. A lot of us allow fear to get in the way. So if you stubbed your toe, girl, say you stubbed your toe.
Yeah.
Like, don't hide that from us because then we can't help you. So
Exactly.
I think that space in March is just kind of lay it out on the table. Why don't you feel safe? What do you want physicians and people in the medical care to do better? Um, just a sounding board. Use my space as a sounding board because number one, I love it. Number two, I probably agree for 99.9% of what's going to be said anyway. And then that kind of helps me, um, keeps me accountable on doing better to find those solutions to those grievances. So I know who to talk to. I know who to reach out to. I know what events to create. Um, so a lot of the things is my own research. Like I said, I'm a student first before a founder of anything.
Mhm. Yep.
So it's just learning. So if that is interest of you, you could join. It's for free.
Yeah.
And
Maybe if you
then
could send me, a link or information about that
yeah,
event,
yeah,
then I can put it under the video.
okay. Because
Yeah.
I spoke with a Arizona State University students. She's working on her it's like a PhD program.
Uh-huh.
And she did this beautiful study on Black women in safety in healthcare spaces.
Ooh.
And she agreed to write for us. So that should be coming out January the 30th. And then depending on her schedule, I would like for her to also join the March Live, because the March Live was inspired by what I read in her report.
Okay.
Um,
Wonderful.
so she's a young student, and her thirst of wanting to make an imprint is what I like.
Yeah.
Um, I like people to be eager, so I think she has it. Um, we talked for an hour. She's great. I think you guys will like her. Um, and then in April, since April is Infertility Awareness Month,
Oh.
there's not a lot of spaces for Black women to talk about infertility. And the research that I've done states that Black women having support groups is one way they can kind of cope with their infertility issues.
Mhm.
So in April, I'm going to have another live in like a support group setting for women just to
Yeah.
just come and talk and speak. And then in that month, I'm also inviting medical professionals also in infertility space to kind of be a guest writers for that as well, including birth workers, doulas, midwives, and things of that nature. Um,
Beautiful.
Other than that, you can see me in Substack notes. Or
I see you in some inspirational little snippets, and I love that. So,
yeah.
well, I just really want to thank you so much for this session. It's just been amazing getting to know you and know about your work. And I will be keeping an eye on Sister Care Alliance and doing whatever I can to help, um, get the message out there to support Black women's health and to start to turn around those maternal mortality numbers for Black women. So,
And just to put things in perspective, March of Dimes every year they rank their hospitals on birth mortality, and Atlanta has F. They failed. So this is what we're up against. You can't live in Atlanta and be safe. Not if you're a Black woman and you want to bear children. That's that's a smoke signal. That's very bad.
yeah,
And I think reading it in the report is one thing, but keeping your local politicians and people in charge keep their feet to the fire is another thing.
yes,
So if you are in the Atlanta area, please read the laws and studies on hospitals in your area. Know your politicians in that area.
mhm,
Ask questions. If you can, write to them, call them, because if you have an F, that needs answers.
yep.
That's something that just can't be read in the article, and we can move on until next year. I want to know why, and I want to know why I should never bring my child or me in that hospital ever again. So
All right. All righty. Well, again, thank you, Tisha, for pardon me, for being here, for sharing your wisdom and your passion for Black women's health. Thank you for each and every person who has been here in the chat and participating. And I will post the replay, and I'll have links to Sister Care Alliance and the activities that are coming up, so you can support, and if that is your thing. And I hope that you have a beautiful rest of your day.
yeah,
And thank you so much.
thank you for having me. Thanks
All right.
everyone.
Have a good night.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye bye.